Hello everyone. So in this video, it's going to be very interesting because I've never seen the camera before. I bought this Ugly Grade Leica M2 from KEH, and I have bought some camera gears from KEH before. However, all the gears that I've bought in the past were excellent grade, excellent plus grade, mint. The lowest grade I've bought from KEH was probably just good, which all the gears that I bought, lenses, filters, all came to me in excellent, almost mint condition, despite the grade says, oh, there might be some slight imperfections. So I know KEH's grading system is very good. Now I saw this Leica M2, which is sold by KEH, and it's graded ugly. I was a little hesitant at the very beginning because one, I've never owned a Leica before, and second, the price of this Ugly Grade Leica M2 is just too good to pass. You know, as you guys know, recently the boom of the interest in film photography has made all the camera really, especially Leica cameras, really out of reach of my budget. And this Ugly Grade Leica M2 is actually very reasonably priced. So I want to open up the package with you guys and actually take a look and see what you guys would expect for a Ugly Grade camera, which is KEH's second to the lowest grade, which states the camera might have some dings, scratches. However, it's fully functional. And what do you gotta lose? Because KEH have a return policy. If you don't like the camera, just, you know, pay return shipping and have the camera returned. And you never have to buy a Ugly Grade again if you don't like it. Okay, so let's get started. So it actually came in a dedicated KEH packaging. And again, I have full confidence in KEH because I have bought gears from them before, and they have been, I have been very pleased with the purchase. Now this one, first thing first, KEH doesn't really have much used Leica stocks on their website. There we have it. Pretty simple plain packaging, but very well protected with a bunch of air bubbles and a bubble wrap inside. So again, they don't have much Leica stock, and I'm assuming a lot of those film cameras, when they get it, people just buy them right away. And they always have a 5% off discount if it's your first time, you know, buying from KEH. Now, I'm not get paid by KEH. I'm their customer. So I literally just spent my hard-earned cash and bought this Leica M2 in Ugly Grade condition. Very excited. My very first Leica. And my second rangefinder. And the reason I got this is because I bought a Konica 3A. It's also a very nice Japanese rangefinder camera with a fixed lens, and that camera was excellent. So that got me really interested in having a the best of the best, or the most well-built Leica ever. So this is KEH's Ugly Grade Leica. I'm gonna take it out of the plastic wrap, and you guys can take a look and see the condition and what you would expect if you buy a Ugly Grade Leica from KEH. Okay, so here it is. There is no major dents. All it has is some very superficial scratches on the bottom plate and some scratches on the this flipping film door, but that's pretty much it. I'm gonna look through the viewfinder. I mean, there are some actually moldy looking thing in the viewfinder patch. Yeah, so there's definitely mold on the glass. Not sure if it's gonna affect the use or not, but so that's probably why it's being advertised as ugly, because there were actually mold on the focusing patch in this camera. So I'm gonna try to get a screenshot, or I'm gonna try to get a close-up look through my camera in a little bit. But yeah, right off the bat, cosmetically, it looks fine. There are some dint over here as well. However, nothing that's, you know, really outside of unacceptable reason for not using this camera. Another thing over here. And I'm gonna try to open the film door. Never used the Leica before, but seems to be fairly easy to use. There is a film plate, and that's probably the spool over here. The condition on the inside is still pretty good. There's no significant brassing on the inside as well. Flipping up the door. And the shutter curtain looks to be in very good condition. I think it's in B mode. Wow, the sound of Leica. It's actually my first time hearing it in person. And this lever, oh my God, it's so smooth. Yeah, it seems to be a very well-built camera. And the advantage, I guess, compared to my Konica 3A is, again, I could use a wider angle lens because the 3 comes with a fixed 50mm lens. And this one just came with a, I mean, you have the choice of picking different lens options. Let me see if I can get everything back. And I did order a 35mm color Scopar f2.5, and it's coming soon. So I should definitely have a review up for you guys. But in terms of focusing, and all the preview lines, when I press the lever, the preview lines all shows up perfectly fine. And the viewfinder is actually darker than I imagined. It's not as bright as the Konica 3, the 3A, but it's very usable. There are some haziness on the viewfinder. So definitely needs some clean on the internal. And once I have the lens, I'll give you guys a thorough review of this Ugly Grade Leica M2. My initial impression on the grading, I think the KEH is actually, you know, fairly true to their grading standards. But there is definitely a mold spot on the viewfinder patch. Not sure if it's fixable. We'll have to find out after we actually start putting a lens on and start using the camera. Okay, hopefully soon. All right, guys. So this is still the KEH Ugly Grade Leica M2 that I have in front of you. Last section of the video, we did unboxing, and I just quickly looked around. Since this is my first Leica, I don't really know what to expect. So after a further detailed, I guess, clean and also an inspection, I have come to conclusion that the Ugly Grade might be worth your time, it might not. Okay, so the biggest hurdle for me for this Ugly Grade when I bought it is there's no mention of the damage on the focusing patch. So I'm not sure if it's able to focus, but you see that little mold spot over there? That mold spot, I went around and quoted some Leica serviceman, and to fix that is at least $250 for the parts, not including the labor. So quite expensive repair, and it's apparently the patch prism, which is somewhere sitting here, that's damaged. It's different from the prism over here that usually you can just clean out of the fog that I also mentioned at the very beginning. Did you guys see that? So when you buy a used unit, those are some of the things that you'll want to actually look out for. First is, are there any fog in the viewfinder? And if there are fogs, I mean, usually they are very cleanable. You can just take the top apart, since I have experience, repairing some other cameras, 35mm film cameras, I can go ahead and remove the top with some special tools when it arrives and clean the viewfinder here, which has fogged up. And those fogs are usually caused by the gas that's being released, or the gas that's contained in the old grease or the oil that they used inside the camera. So it's fairly easy to remove. But however, the one thing that I am not gonna be able to fix is that focus patch. So that focus patch is pretty molded, like spider web looking thing. That's something you really have to look out. So if you buy a used camera that you don't know the condition, you need to ask the seller if the focusing patch is nice and clear. For mine, it is not. Some other things to take into consideration when you buy a used Leica, again, based on my first time purchasing experience from KEH, also check the preview button. So sometimes the preview button is not aligned. So when you push the button, sometimes it doesn't move and sometimes it doesn't register properly. But for my unit, I got lucky. The button registers all the frame lines perfectly fine, okay? Some other things to check. Make sure there are no excessive wears. So mine is dented and dinged. However, this camera has not seen much use. Why? Because you can tell from not so much of the brassing on the bottom plate when you take out the bottom plate. Usually for some cameras that's very, very heavily used, this plate is going to be worn out and the brass is going to be showing. That means the camera has been used quite a lot of times. That might be reaching end of its life, or many of the parts inside might need to be replaced and readjusted. But for my unit, I've looked around this camera. Besides the dings and dents, it has seen not so much use. And another tell sign is if you, and by the way, I just bought this super compact lens from Cosina, which is the Voigtlander 35 2.5 color scoper. And I wanted this lens because I want a super compact 35mm film setup, and I achieved it. My last camera, or my other camera, is a Konica 3A. Fantastic camera, by the way. Also have a fantastic 50mm lens. I've shot a few rolls in here, and all the films have been in the processor developing, so couldn't show you guys any pictures, but that's a fantastic camera with a fantastic viewfinder. So if you guys are interested and you don't want to spend a lot of money and you love 50mm lens, definitely give this camera a try. So another tell sign, if the camera has been significantly used, is the brassing on this piece, on the lens mount piece. Usually you'll see quite a lot of wear and brassing on this piece if the camera has seen a lot of lens changes. But again, because some people probably never change their lens, so this area should be nice and clean, but just look for general wears around the area that gets touched quite a lot. Like for mine, I would say based on my observation, this camera has seen not a lot of use, even though it's kind of fogged up inside and had mold, probably due to improper moisture control when the camera was stored. But just looking at the camera in general, this Ugly Grade KEH is perfectly usable, okay? So that patch that I mentioned, I mean, it's pretty ugly, I admit, and the fog is easily cleaned. If I want to get it repaired, sure, I'll dish out another $250, but I paid a really good price for this M2. So even with that $250 repair for a brand new replacement patch that features a M4P type, frame preview with 28mm frame line and stuff to upgrade this one, that only costs $250. So it's, when the time comes, I might decide to do that, but for now, the camera as is, KEH Ugly Grade, perfectly usable. Okay, so just want to give you guys this unboxing because again, my first experience and my gamble buying a KEH Ugly Grade, and it actually turned out to be a fairly smart purchase, okay, at least for me, or in my opinion. And looking at the serial number, this is actually a later model M2, which, if the patch is broken, actually is easier to replace, according to some of the servicemen that I talked with. If you have a serial number of the M2 with a 106 and below, that focusing patch is not being able to be repaired. The only time you're able to get a new one is to use a parts camera. That's what the serviceman told me. But this one is newer, so the parts are still readily available to replace that patch if I want to. But at this moment, I'm just going to use it as is with my newly acquired 35mm f2.5 color scoper from Viewfinder. And I'll report back and do another video review, probably with the films that I've shot, to give you guys a first impression on my first Leica camera, the Leica M2, and a beater, okay? Thanks again, guys, for watching. If you have any questions in regards to this particular camera model or purchasing from KEH, just feel free to ask me in the comment section down below, and I'll try my best to answer you guys. And if you did find this video helpful, please do hit the like button or subscribe to my channel. And I'm for sure gonna have more film photography related content coming out for you guys. Okay, so thanks again, and see you in the next video. Take care.